Any war that takes place in the world will leave drastic effects on society, the economy, and politics because countries are fighting for some kind of change. World War II was a war that involved many countries due to opposing beliefs of what societies, economies, and different types of government should be. World War II concerned Americans because America had never been involved in a war of this magnitude and did not know what would happen in regards to society, the economy, or the government. In the end, the period of 1941 to 1960 was a time of significant change in America because the economy improved and much of society was able to live comfortable lives after the war, and the government broke its past of isolationism. America's economy improved and society was able to live comfortable lives after the war. Right before World War II started, America was in a dilemma due to the Great Depression. During the Great Depression, over half of America's population was in poverty, and Americans' top priority was to try to find a way to survive. As the war progressed, the economy began to improve due to the need for more military weapons. In order to be able to produce enough war goods across the nation, factories were quickly converted to war production, and shipyards and defense plants expanded with dizzying speed. During the Great Depression, all industries were closed down due to financial troubles, and there were no jobs available. But during a time of war, America's economy became strong enough to start producing weapons rapidly. The economy was also improving during World War II because there were many new jobs available. Because there was a need for industrial workers to produce war goods, unemployment fell to a low of 1.2% in 1944. During the Great Depression, unemployment was at a record high, but now because men were away at war, wives began to fill into their jobs and much of society was employed. Some may say the economy did not improve after World War II because when the men returned home, their wives were unemployed and had to become housewives again. This is untrue because women like May Graybill proved themselves through their work and kept jobs even after men came back. This is also untrue because although some women became stay-at-home moms again, families were financially stable enough to do so, unlike during the Great Depression when everyone was begging for an income. After World War II, society changed for the better because Americans were now able to live comfortable lives. After the war, when the economy greatly improved, men and women were stable enough to settle down and support a family. With a new sense of financial stability, between the war's end and 1950, 32 million babies were born. Before World War II, many families were starving to death and were apprehensive to have more kids because that would mean they would have to struggle to feed another mouth. But now in the post-war days, society had a new social norm of settling down and living a white picket fence life. Families and society were also conforming to the new social norm of buying houses. The suburban lifestyle was something that families looked towards, and of the 13 million new homes built in the 1950s, 85% were built in the suburbs. Much of society during the Great Depression was homeless and living with a tarp as their shelter, but after the economic benefits of World War II, families could now afford to buy houses and live in a safe shelter. Some may say society did not live comfortable lives because many men and women in society were dissatisfied with their lifestyle. It was said that many women in society felt isolated, bored, and unfulfilled. This, however, isn't true. Just because a person is dissatisfied with their accomplishments in life does not take away from the fact that people felt comfortable, that their families were financially stable enough to afford food and afford shelter. The periods of 1941 to 1960 was a time of significant change in America because the economy improved and society was able to live comfortable lives after the war. America's government also changed because it broke its past of isolationism. In the past, Americans were very fond of isolationism because they were afraid of how the economy would be affected and did not want America under attack. America began to form alliances to help keep enemies out. To try to prevent war coming to America, the government provided the British with all aid short of war. America shifted from staying 100% neutral to helping allies with war goods in order to keep a war out of American territory. During World War II, however, when there was a direct attack on Pearl Harbor, which was an American territory, America broke isolationism completely. American government decided to be the first country to use a nuclear weapon. When deciding how to win the war, Truman believed it was his duty as president to use every weapon available to save American lives. America went from staying neutral in World War matters to eventually dropping the atomic bomb, which killed over 200,000 people in order to win a war. Some may say America did not fully break isolationism when providing war goods to allies because America did not directly fight. This is untrue, however, because when they provided goods to other countries, enemies saw this as a decidedly unneutral act. America progressively became more unneutral as the war progressed, until eventually they decided to fully enter and fight in World War II. The period of 1941 to 1960 was a time of significant change in America because the government broke isolationism. The period of 1941 to 1960 was a time of significant change in America because the economy improved and much of society was able to live comfortable lives after the war, and the government broke its past of isolationism.